Yes, good afternoon, viewers. It's Vocal Brown once again, and we are alive on Solution Ghana, and this is your Solution Resource Center. And we have is another one look at. Of course, I know that investors are looking at where to put their money here and there, and of course, most of us are in the mood of a reset. As far as we've had a new president, and everybody's thinking about what to reset and reform here and there. Well, so when it comes to the area of investments, as far as Ghana is concerned, on the African map generally, I think that we are doing quite well. The aficionados of economics have said and touted Ghana as one of those who are leading when it comes to stock exchange, especially in Ghana, or especially in Africa. It just happens to Africa. So I have with me Mr. Patrick Baah Abankwa. He is actually joining us online on Zoom, who is going to take us through what it means to invest in the stock exchange in Ghana. What are some of the advantages? Well, Mr. Patrick Baah Abankwa is a chartered banker and global investment analyst. Over 7 years experience he has. He's a business development and corporate affairs manager at Chartered Institute of Bankers, Ghana. Well, so he holds an EMBA and BA from KNUST and the University of Ghana, respectively. And there are many sides of him as well. He's also a content creator. He's an originator of daily episode dubbed Saving Tip of the Day. You can search him out. He's also a research fellow for ILAPI Ghana. He also runs a financial channel called Patrick TV Ghana, and he has published over 50 articles on investments and finances. Okay, so we are talking to just the right resource person when it comes to investing in Ghana in the light of stocks. So, Mr. Patrick, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much, and want to say a very good time for inviting me on this show. I know that today we're going to all learn together when it comes to the stock market.
Yes, you're very welcome, actually. So tell me a bit about what have you been doing so far. What's been your latest adventures as far as your area of specialty is concerned?
Thank you very much. I think, as you rightly said in the profile, basically I'm into financial management, business development, corporate affairs management. I do a lot of content creation, as you rightly said, so digital marketing. I do a lot of facilitation, financial coaching, investment analysis, investment advisory services. So that's basically what I do. I do it on the corporate level and also on the individual level. And for the last 7 years or so, I've been doing a lot of media engagement. I do a lot of media engagement across Ghana and Africa. Last year, I was blessed to now be doing Africa. So I do a number of Nigerian media houses and also some other African countries. So that's just a little about me when it comes to the financial space.
Well, Mr. Patrick, it's very good to have you. We are very excited in the studios to have you, and I'm sure that our viewers as well are excited to have you based on your experience. We're going to learn a lot from here. So let's zoom in straight to the topic in focus. Stocks. We don't assume that everybody following us understands this whole thing about stocks. So can you give us a little explanation about investing in stocks in Ghana? What's stock all about?
Thank you very much. So basically, when we talk of stocks, let's try and break it down for the layman. If someone is hearing stocks for the very first time, stocks basically means that you are investing in someone's business. So let's assume that I run my company. My company's name is Patrick Company. Patrick Company needs a lot of capital to expand, to do a lot of projects. So Patrick Company may go to register with a company or an institution that gives it the ability to get others to bring their money into their business. So you go and register with the Ghana Stock Exchange, and you'll be given the license to allow people to come and invest in your business. Now, when people come and invest in the business, they bring money into the business. And the idea of doing that is that they want to get returns out of that investment that they are doing. The money that they are bringing into the business, they are giving some digital number of shares or ownership in the business. Right. And the number of ownership they have in the business is what we call stocks. So when you say you are investing in stocks, what it basically means that you are investing to become a part owner of a company. Now, the part ownership here means that there may be people who hold more ownership than you. So in the stock market, we have the majority shareholder and all other shareholders. So the one who has the highest stake or ownership in that company becomes the majority shareholder, and all other person that goes into within that space is also a shareholder. Now, why will someone go into stocks? And I know we are going to discuss it very soon. But you want to invest in someone's business because you want to grow your investment amount. And you grow your investment amount based on how the company that you have invested in performs. So the company is performing. There are two ways that we look at the performance of the company. One, it is the price of the share over the period of time that determines whether you are making money out of that investment. That's the first thing. Let's say I bought one ownership in a company at, let's say, 2 cedis. Now, in a year's time, because of the performance of the business, that stock price has moved from, let's say, 2 Ghana cedis to 4 Ghana cedis.
Right.
It means that my investment in that company has jumped from 2 cedis to 4 cedis.
Okay.
Okay. That's the first way that we see that, okay, because the price has jumped from 2 cedis to 4 cedis, I've gotten enough by way of about 100% revenue or profit from that particular business. Now, the second bit of making money out of the stock market is that the company that I've invested in, I'm expecting the company to make profit at the end of the year. Now, when the company makes profit at the end of the year, they share the profit to the shareholders, among the shareholders. Okay. So if I'm a shareholder or a part owner in that company, when the profit is shared, I also get a part of that profit because I own shares. So these are the two main benefits that I get when I decide to become a part owner of a company. So one, if the share price or how much I bought one share goes up and I decide to sell that share, I'm getting a profit out of that.
Okay.
Two, the company also makes profit. They have to distribute the profit after all other expenses among shareholders. And if I'm a shareholder, I get a portion of that profit that is being shared because of the number of shares that I hold. So this is what basically shares mean in the layman's language and some benefit that we get out of that.
Thank you so much for that explanation. But just for some clarity, you use the word shares and then you use the word stocks. Is there any difference between these two before we continue?
Technically, it means the same.
Okay, so if I have shares in any company, I am part of the stock exchange.
Exactly.
Of that
so the
company.
stocks basically means that if you are picking, let's say, I have 10 shares in a company, we count them as one stock. So a stock, 1, 2, 3, then I get 10 stocks in that company. But the market that we play in is the shares market.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now, I'm in a hurry to talk about Ghana Stock Exchange. What advantages we have in comparison to some other countries in Africa? Let's start from Africa. Okay. What is the general outlook when it comes to Ghana Stock Exchange? What have you observed so far? Are we in a positive trend? If you can give us some details on that.
So I would say that the Ghana Stock Exchange, which we call the GSC, has shown resilience over the last 5 or 10 years, despite the economic challenges that we are facing in recent times. I say that while the market has experienced some volatility here means that how quickly the share prices rise, how quickly companies are able to fold up because of economic challenges. I think that these challenges, which we call the macroeconomic factors, you are looking at inflation, you are looking at the currency depreciation, you are looking at high interest rates. There are still some signs of gradual recovery within the Ghana Stock Exchange market. And I think that for the last 1 year coming to this year, we see that the stock market has seen some positive performance in some key sectors, and investor confidence is slowly rebuilding within the space. One challenge that we will have to point out, however, is that liquidity remains a challenge, and more effort are needed to attract both the local and foreign investors. But I think overall, if you are looking at it in totality, the outlook is cautiously very optimistic, with potential for growth as the economy stabilizes. You see, as the economy performs, the stock market performs. As the economy suffers, the stock market also suffers. So that's how it works, and that's the relationship between the two.
Okay. So in juxtaposed to other countries in Africa, where do you think Ghana stands some are saying that Ghana is actually leading when it comes to the profitability in stock exchange among other countries in Africa. What do you say to that?
In comparison with other countries, I mean, when you look at the developed countries like the New York stock market, the London stock market, Ghana's stock exchange, we can say it's relatively small and less liquid. However, I think it has performed a number of the regional exchanges in terms of the period that we are looking at and in terms of rewards. For example, the stock market has historically delivered competitive dividend yields compared to other African countries. That said, I think the exchange still lags behind in terms of market capitalization, in terms of the trading volumes and the number of listed companies. We still have one of the lowest number of listed companies within the African sub-region. I think that to improve that, the Ghana Stock Exchange needs to focus on increasing listing, encourage companies to list on the market so that people will have variety to invest in. They also have to enhance their market infrastructure and also invest more into promoting investor education. People should begin to know about stocks and have information on their fingertips. And I think that is where we still have a bit of work to do within the space.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Now, in 2024, I have a statistics that says that there's optimism fueled by the exchanges, by the exchanges impressive 26.13%, 26%, a bit above that, return in dollar terms in 2024, making it the best performing market in Africa in CD terms. What do we say about this? Is that a good and very positive implication to attract investors, or we can do better from here?
Yeah, I think that if you take last year, for example, we had some companies listed doing over 100% in terms of capital gain, and a few other companies doing about 87% in terms of capital gain within the period. If you look at it cumulatively, yes, we have done very well in terms of the returns that we are giving to investors. However, as the exchange rate continues to depreciate, it only appeals to the local investors. Foreign investors that we need them to come and invest more may look at the exchange rate and just suppose it against the increment or the returns they are making. If they convert it back into their home currency, they realize that they are not making so much gains out of that. So we need to now impress on the government in power to try and stabilize the currency. If the currency is stabilized, then the margins we are seeing on stocks will appeal to both the local investors and also the foreign investors. And that will mean that people will look at investment in stocks as a stronger proposition as against other investment that may not give them very good returns.
Okay. Thank you for that. That's an advice to the government. Now, let's look a bit into some of the most actively traded stocks in Ghana. Yeah. Let's make a little review of that for those who are actively searching to see.
So if you look at the actively traded stocks so far, maybe from last year all the way to this year, in terms of the top 5 that I can think of, we are looking at MTN Ghana. We all know that MTN Ghana is a telecommunication giant with strong performance, both not just in Ghana, but within the African sub-region. It's a South African institution, and they have high liquidity. It means that if you want to sell their shares or you want to buy their shares, you don't struggle to do that because people see it as a very good place to invest. EcoBank Ghana is also one of the highly traded stocks within the period, and that's a leading bank with consistent trading activity. We are talking of GCB Bank PLC, or what we used to call Ghana Commercial Bank. It's also one of the largest banks in Ghana, and they also highly trade within the period. Then we are looking at Farm Milk. Farm Milk is a consumer goods company with a strong market presence. They also have been very good on the market. Then you're also talking of Standard Chartered Bank. That's StanChart. That's a well-established bank with international presence. They are also very well traded. Last year, the stock that performed very well last year was Unilever. So Unilever too has come up strongly within the period. So on top of mine, these are 6 very highly traded stocks that we can find in the Ghana stock market from last year all the way to this year.
Okay. So if you're advising investors generally, what will be your top 3? Have you mentioned them according to performance?
Yes. So just as I've mentioned, we are looking at MTN, We are looking at EcoBank, we are looking at GCB. And if you want to look at last year's performance, we want to add Unilever to it. But in terms of top three, these are the top three shares that have been performing very well. You can also talk of the new gold issuers. So they are also into gold, but their share price is quite expensive because of the area they find themselves. You can also look at that. The prospect of gold also increasing on the market, international market, means that they also have a very good prospect. But my top three will be MTN, EcoBank, and then GCB.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, quite on the side, have you observed any companies that may not be probably in the top 5 or maybe even not even in the top 10, but you suspect or you perceive based on your indicators that these companies in the next few years to come are going to jump into the top gauges? Do you have you're tracking in your system?
Yeah, so the first one is just the one I mentioned a while ago, the new gold issuers.
Okay.
They have been on the market not too long. Their investment is within the gold commodities market. It's one area that we should be keeping an eye on. I expect them to perform relatively better than other institutions in the next 2 to 3 years as the gold prices so high on the international markets. I mean, that's one area, one company that I can easily jumps up.
Okay.
I'm sure with time, if I recall others, I can chip it in within the period.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Now, as against global economic trends, how is it influencing our trade locally? What would you say? Are we in a very sophisticated situation, or you think that we are in a very positive trajectory as far as global trends are concerned?
Okay, so the Ghanaian market, as you already know, is influenced by global economic trends. Even though the impact of the trend varies according to the sector that we are referring to. The specifics that we are looking at in terms of the trends, one has to do with the commodity prices. Ghana's economy is heavily reliant on exports like gold and cocoa. So fluctuations in global commodity prices of these two commodities directly affect the market. Then we are also looking at interest rates. Globally, we all know that the global central bank policies, especially in the developed countries like US and Europe, influence foreign investor sentiment and cash flow and cash inflow. So, for example, one of the challenges that we had as a country in 2022 was the fact that the US Treasury rate was increased. And that means that all investors within the sub-region and all in the developed countries had to channel their investment to the US. And once they did that, companies or countries like Ghana suffered the most because now investors were not having confidence to bring their funds here because they had an alternative. So interest rate cuts or increments anywhere in the world in these global countries, they have impact on the stock market. Again, the next thing we also want to look at is currency movement. The strength of the US dollar often impact the Ghanaian cedi, and that affects import-dependent sectors. And that is also one area that we always have to keep our eyes on. Then when there's also global recession, economic downturns in major economies also influence or reduces foreign investment. And sometimes it demands that we have to go more into Ghanaian export. And when the export is not coming, that means that our economy is going to suffer in terms of how we stabilize our currency. So all these things that I've mentioned have direct trends, and how we are able to manage it is dependent on both the central government and also the Ghana Stock Exchange market.
Okay. So with the citizenry, where do we come in when it comes to helping shore up our exports? Where do we come in? How do we help this whole trend? Where do we come in as local citizens?
Yeah,
or
so
it just left to the governance, the statutory bodies? Should we leave it to them, or there's a role we have to play?
So I see this as a double-edged approach. So government has its part to play, and government's part to play is stabilizing the economy, making sure that there are funds available, foreign currencies available. People who want to trade are able to do that. However, as citizens, we also need to commit more to investing in areas like agriculture, because that is where our export revenues come from. We need to invest in, let's say, the health sector by training more health professionals that we can now export as a brain drain to get some monies. Other countries like the Indians have been able to export their talent into other developed countries, and now these talents are bringing back home repatriation of their revenues, and that is able to stabilize the economy. As a country, we need to set out clearly which areas are we going to get the maximum export. Of course, number one is agriculture. Two is talent. If you're able to export a lot of talent, then that becomes our part to play within the space. So government has a part to play, which is obvious. As individuals, we need to empower ourselves to invest at places that we can generate export from.
Okay, thank you very much. We use the word brain drain, and I'm like, okay, well, if we are going to deliberately be outsourcing them to other countries, then maybe it's more of a gain than a drain. What do you think? Anyway, so if anybody the layperson wants to get into stocks, sometimes people just don't know what to do, where to go, how to be systematically get into the system. What would be your advice for this? Where do they look at? Where do they start from?
So there are a number of things that you should do. And stock market is not a very simple place to invest like treasury bills. Or let's say going to buy fixed deposits where you do that, you give the money to the bank and the bank promises you 10% and you get it. Stock market, it fluctuates. So you can get good returns today, the next moment your stock price will drop. And that means that first of all, you need to educate yourself. Understand the basis of stock market and how it works, the risks involved. Two, when you are going to the stock market, you need to set what we call financial goals. Clearly define your investment objective. Why am I going into this into stocks? Am I investing in MTN as a long-term investment for my child, for somebody? So that's your objective. You should clearly define it. Or am I going into it as a short-term measure, whether short or you need to clearly define that. Then start small. Don't take all your investment boom into the stock market because you want to make some gains out of that. No, begin with a small amount that you can afford to lose and gradually understand the market. And as you understand the market, you increase the investment with confidence. The fourth thing is that you need to know that when you are going to the stock market, you have something we call the brokerage account. Brokerage account here is what we call, in quote, investment or stock account. And you need to be able to open this brokerage account with a licensed stockbroker before you can even start investing within the stock market. So that is something that you should also keep at the back of your mind. And as
where do we get a licensed stockbrokers? Are you one?
No. So there are a number of stockbrokers. So just go online and type in licensed stockbrokers in Ghana, or go to Ghana Stock Exchange website. You see the licensed stockbrokers, and a number of them. They all come with their email addresses, their telephone numbers, their websites. Just go to any of them, and once you go into their space, they will even educate you on the stocks that you should put up. Put your minds to the stocks that are performing. They'll give you insider information because that's what they are licensed to do. So they help you to open the brokerage account, and then you fund the account in preparation to buy stocks. So that's what we call open the brokerage account. The next thing you should also keep in mind is that in the stock market, you need to learn to diversify your risks, spread your investment across various sectors. Don't put all your investment in, let's say, the financial sector. So you are investing in just maybe GCB, EcoBank, Stanchart, they are all financial sector. Learn to diversify. So keep some in telecommunication, keep some in agriculture, keep some in the financial sector. That's how you diversify your risk, so that you don't put all your eggs within the same sector. If something happens to that sector, you lose out. Then again, monitor your investment. Stocks, you don't invest in stocks and go and sleep. That it will go a natural course. No. Monitoring them. Consistently review your portfolio to understand how the market is performing and where you need to make changes, you make changes. The final of all is, which is very important, is that if you are going to the stock market, seek for professional advice. Consult a financial advisor so that the person will personalize a guide on what you should do. That, for me, is critical as you go into the stock market. The stock market, as I said from the beginning, is a complex market that you build knowledge with time. So it's very important to seek professional advice as you go into that space.
Okay, so are there tax implications that you should alert any investor on when it comes to trading in stocks, or any benefits?
So there are tax implications. The first tax is what we call the capital gains tax. Capital gain tax here means that, okay, I invested 2 cedis in MTN. In a month's time, the price of the stock has gone to, let's say, 4 cedis. That means I've gained 2%, 2 cedi profit. Now I have to pay tax on that 2% profit if I want to cash out my investment in the stock market. And that's, as we speak, it's around 15% tax on that. Then we have what we call dividend withholding tax. As the company makes profits, they have to pay the profit or spread the profit as dividends to all shareholders. Again, that dividend that is given to you, pay 8% withholding tax on that. Again, government also has what we call the tax-exempt instrument. And here, government bonds and treasury bills are tax-exempt, making them attractive for risk investment. So if you don't want to go into tax-related investment like shares, then you want to go to maybe treasury bills and bonds. Then for me, these are the things that you need to put up your mind. So the two main taxes are: one, the capital gain tax, which is the tax that is paid on the profit you make on the share price. Then two is what we call the dividend withholding tax. And that's the tax that you pay as profit or dividend is paid to you as an investor.
Okay. Thank you so much for that knowledge. I'm sure that our viewers needed that so that they would gauge the expectations well when it comes to the profit margins they're expecting in the investments. Okay, so how can investors, for instance, we haven't quite some rise in technology and its diverse ways and channels of helping in the financial sector. So do you have any knowledge or understanding about how we can leverage on technology to improve trading experience?
Yes, so nowadays, if you open an account or the brokerage account of the brokers, what they do is that they set you up to an online trading platform where you, on a daily basis, every minute, every hour, you'll be able to track how the stocks are performing anywhere in the world. So that's also one area that you can consider. And it's good if you are not in Ghana, you are watching and you want to invest, you get that platform and you can be consistently tracking it. Most of these investors, these companies and also the licensed brokers also have mobile apps. And these mobile apps are real-time market monitoring and trading platforms. So you can use that to check out decisions that you need to make when it comes to investing in that. Again, there are also research tools. If you go to the stock exchange market, they have data, they have reports that you can use to understand how the shares are performing. They have what we call the stock screeners and also analysis tool that will help you to be able to make informed decisions within the space. Then there's also what we call the automated investing. Certain advisors or trading platforms use what we call the automated investing, where you alert or trigger something that will automatically push some funds into an investment when it's available. So you don't need to virtually be chasing after the process every now and then or calling your investor. You set out an automated limit that once I invest or I deposit, let's say 10,000 into my brokerage account, and there's an opportunity to invest in MTN shares available, quickly buy it for me. That's what we call the automated investment. That's also something that will help you. Then we have what we call the social trading, where you join online communities to share insight and learn from experienced investors. Then in the era of AI, digital blockchain, there are also emerging technologies that will help you with enhanced and predictive analytics that can give you an indication of, okay, which shares are going to perform next month, next 2 months, end of year, next year. Use that to be able to predict and also know the kind of shares that you invest in. So for me, the future is very bright within the space. And if you want to go into shares, there are opportunities out there for you. There are tools to assist you to make the right decision.
Thank you for that. But on a follow-up, in following technology, you're trying to use technology. Is there any caution in pursuing technology to facilitate our investments?
Yes, so
the lens of cybercrime and all that. Yeah,
I was coming to that. So that's exactly what you said. We have to be very careful of impersonation. We have to be very careful with what. So now, one of the things I always advise people is that make sure whatever platform that you are on, the platform allows two-factor authentication. Where it means that if someone wants to log into your account, there are a number of checks or prompts that you need to agree to before the transaction actually happens. If you do that or the platform allows for that, then you know that you are secured in that space. Don't be sharing your password anywhere because you think that you want to show off. You don't need to log into every Wi-Fi that you get access to. You need to be very tactful in some of this because that's where the hackers get information. That's where the hackers are always looking for opportunities to hack into your account. Once they hack into your account and take any decision on your behalf, chances are that you may lose your investment within that period. So it's a very good tool but must be used cautiously if you want to keep a very sound and safe platform for your investment.
Thank you so much, Patrick. I have a few questions to ask in rounding up, but I don't know what you say about this. If we had, let's say, a 50% more of the general population in Ghana, I think we are about 34 million population. If you had a 50% more or something close to that, getting into the Ghana Stock Exchange, what impact would that make on the country? Is that something positive to count? What impact is that going to make?
Very positive, very positive. What it means is that companies will now have capital to expand. Because companies, as we speak, some companies need capital to expand. They don't have the opportunity to expand. So now they have to fall on debt. Debt here means that they have to go for loans from the banks. And as we all know, debt sometimes is very expensive as compared to shares. So if they have availability of shares running, then they will have the opportunity to now invest, expand. And as they expand, what it means is that they were able to employ more people into their field. Because now they are expanding, producing more, especially those in the manufacturing agri sector. They are producing more and they are exporting. Exportation gives us foreign currency. As they expand, they employ more youth. That's going to reduce unemployment. It's going to strengthen our currency because of the exportations. These are very, very good opportunities out there. And as these companies also perform, they will be paying more dividends to the same shareholders that are investing in this space. So for me, developed countries have done it. Over there, almost every household has some investment in stocks. So companies are always encouraged to expand. There are new companies in Ghana that may need stock capital to be able to establish themselves and be able to compete with bigger companies out there. And once they do that, they will be able to go and set their presence in other developing countries, in African region, in the Asian region. And that will mean that with time, their stock prices will also be going up. They'll have the muscle to compete with other companies that are coming to Ghana. So for me, trust me, if we get 50% of the population investing in stocks, it's going to help Ghana be reformed. We'll not be coming to the same discussion of exchange rate depreciation every now and then, because now we are getting funds from these companies repatriating back to Ghana. As we speak, one of the things that affect our currency is that most multinationals always repatriate their funds that they make from profit to the home country. Assuming we also have companies out there bringing funds into Ghana. What means that they are also bringing foreign currency to stabilize our currency. So for me, we need to encourage that. And I urge people to go into within that space, and that will help us to be able to strengthen our currency.
Great. Well, that's quite some encouragement there when it comes to investment in Ghana. And I think that this is an inspiration, right? We want to inspire our audience, our viewers. Let's get into the stocks. You can understand it's not just you that's going to benefit. Ghana in the whole is going to win the more we invest into our companies, the more we increase our shares. Ghana is winning. Join, let Ghana win. Patrick, thank you so much for this very educative session. Thank you so much. What I need to, maybe your last words, but before your last words, why, after everything, should we invest in Ghana stocks?
Okay, so I think that we should invest in Ghana stocks for a number of reasons. The first reason is that as we invest in Ghana stocks, we make companies in Ghana stronger. And make them stronger, they'll be able to expand. They'll be able to give Ghana options when it comes to foreign currency. That's one. Two, you're also investing for good returns. As I said, last year, companies made over 100% capital gain. So imagine you have invested in that company and you wanted to cash out your investment. You are getting over 100% returns on that. No other medium to low risk investment in Ghana last year made even over 30%, 40%. It means that the stock market has a prospect to help you to increase your wealth. So for me, these are the reasons why you should consider investing in the stock market.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Patrick. You've been very resourceful. Your final words before we go off.
Okay, I think that investment comes with its own risks. So as you decide on any type of investment you want to do, understand that the risk comes with it. And once there's a risk, we need to be able to put your house in order, educate yourself, understand how you go about it. And for me, you'll be able to create wealth out of that. Nobody has been able to be classified as one of the wealthy people in the world by focusing solely on their income. All investors over the world have been able to grow their investment to become the wealthy people. Investment may be in different shape, different form, but whichever one you choose, make sure you understand the space that you find yourself, and make sure you take your time and build the wealth consistently over a period of time. Don't be in a haste to cash out your investment because you think that there's an easy way out. There are no easy way out when it comes to investment. Every investment takes time to build. And once you do that, 2, 3, 5, 10 years time, you come and realize that you took the right decision by investing consistently. So that would be my final words. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We've had Mr. Patrick Baah Abankwa. He is a chartered banker and global investment analyst for over 7 years, and he's also a business development and corporate affairs manager at Chartered Institute of Bankers in Ghana. And this has been the episode that talks about stocks as far as investing in Ghana is concerned. Of course, it's just getting exciting and more exciting. We're going to come at you with another episode, and this is where you have to be Solution Ghana, and it's been Volker Brown. See you another time. Remain here, remain with us, and until that time, God bless you, and God bless our homeland Ghana. See you. And thank you so much, Mr. Patrick, for coming.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.